Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to have you here today. Today, we're going on a comprehensive journey through the 12 tenses that will truly transform your English communication skills. The title of our presentation is Mastering English Tenses, your ultimate guide. In this session, we'll explore each tense, understand how to use them correctly, and boost your confidence in speaking and writing English. So, let's get started and make this a fun and insightful experience for everyone. Let's talk about how enhancing our writing and speaking skills is essential for professionalism. When we communicate with precise timing, it helps us convey our message clearly and confidently. This is where accuracy and clarity come into play. By mastering tenses, we can tell our stories compellingly and ensure our conversations are free from confusion. Tenses are really the backbone of English grammar because they tell us when an action happens, whether it's in the past, present, or future. Understanding and using the correct tense allows us to express ourselves clearly, making sure our messages are understood exactly as we intend. Without proper tense usage, our conversations can become confusing, and our messages might get lost. So, mastering tenses isn't just about grammar. It's about communicating effectively and with precision, which ultimately enhances our professionalism and helps us connect better with others. Today, I want to talk about how we express actions that will happen in the future. On this slide, we see the sentence, "They will travel to Japan next month." This is an example of the simple future tense. We use will plus the base verb to talk about plans or predictions that are going to happen later. It's important to remember that this tense helps us talk about things that haven't happened yet but are certain or planned. For example, he will teach English every day shows a routine in the future. Now compare that to the simple present tense, like he teaches English every day. We use this tense for routines, habits, or general truths. It describes what someone does regularly or facts that are always true. And then there's the simple past, as in, she visited Paris last year. We use this tense for completed actions in the past. It tells us about things that are finished. The key point here is that these three tenses, simple present, simple past, and simple future, are the foundation of English. They help us describe actions in different time frames, what we do regularly, what happened before, and what will happen later. Understanding these tenses allows us to communicate clearly about time and actions in our language. Now let's look at how continuous tenses help us emphasize that an action is still happening and hasn't finished yet. For example, if I say, "They will be traveling this time tomorrow," I'm showing that the action of traveling is ongoing at that specific future moment. This is what we call the future continuous tense, formed with will be plus verb-being. Similarly, in the present, if I say, "I am learning Spanish now," I'm highlighting that the action is happening right at this moment. That's the present continuous tense, which uses am, is, or are plus verb-being. Moving to the past, if I say, "She was studying when he called," it indicates that her studying was in progress at a specific past time. This is the past continuous tense, constructed with was or were plus verb-being. Overall, these continuous tenses are very useful because they help us describe actions that are ongoing or in progress at particular times, whether in the past, present, or future. They give us a clearer picture of the timing and the flow of actions in our stories and conversations. Next year, she will have graduated. This is an example of the future perfect tense, which describes an action that will be completed before a specific future time. We form it with will have plus the past participle. It's useful for talking about plans or predictions about completed actions in the future. For comparison, I've also visited 5 countries. This is in the present perfect tense, which we use for actions that happened at an unspecified time before now or that continue to be relevant. It's formed with have or has plus the past participle. Then there's the past perfect, like when I say she had left before I arrived. This tense shows that one past action was completed before another past action. We form it with had plus the past participle. So the perfect tenses, whether past, present, or future, connect 2 different time points. They clearly show that an action was completed before another moment in time, helping us tell more precise stories or describe sequences of events. Today, I want to talk about the perfect continuous tenses, which are really useful for expressing duration and whether an action is still ongoing. For example, she will have been teaching for 10 years. This shows a duration up to a future point, highlighting how long the action has been happening and that it continues into the future. We use the form will have been plus the verb in the ing form for this. Similarly, the present perfect continuous, like I have been studying since morning, emphasizes how long something has been happening up to now. It connects the start of the action to the present moment, showing ongoing activity. On the past side, we have had been plus the ing form, as in he had been working for 3 hours. This indicates the duration before a specific past moment, giving us a sense of how long something was happening before that point. The key idea here is that perfect continuous tenses combine duration with completion. They help us understand not just how long an action has been happening, but also whether it's still ongoing or completed. This makes them very powerful for conveying timing and continuity in our stories. Watch out for this common mistake. Avoid using time expressions like yesterday or last week with the present perfect tense. Instead, focus on how we use the present perfect to talk about experiences or actions connected to the present without specifying exactly when they happened. For example, I am going to visit my family. This shows planned intentions or evidence-based predictions about the future. On the other hand, when I say, I will help you, that indicates a spontaneous decision or a prediction made at the moment. So, it's important to understand the difference between will and going to for future plans. Going to is often used for planned intentions or when there's evidence for a prediction. Will is used for spontaneous decisions or predictions made on the spot. Now, moving on to the present perfect tense, I have been reading for 2 hours. This is the present perfect continuous, and it emphasizes the duration of an ongoing activity. Compare that to I have read 3 books. This is the present perfect, which focuses on completed actions or experiences. Another key difference, I have visited London. This suggests a visit at an unspecified time in the past, with a connection to the present. Versus, I visited London in 2020, which refers to a specific time in the past. Understanding these subtle differences between the present perfect and simple past tenses is essential to sounding more natural and fluent in English. By mastering these nuances, you'll avoid common pitfalls and elevate your communication skills to a more native-like level. Now, let's look at some examples of how different tenses are used in real-life situations. First, with the future tense, we're using going to and the present perfect. For instance, next month I am going to visit Italy. This shows my planned trip, and I have always wanted to see Rome, which highlights a desire I've had for a long time. These examples help us understand how to talk about future plans and past experiences that influence our present. Moving on to travel plans, notice how I combine the present perfect continuous and the future perfect. I have been working on this project for 2 weeks. That's the present perfect continuous showing an ongoing action. And I will have finished it by Friday, which is the future perfect, indicating a future completion point. This combination is useful for describing ongoing efforts leading to a future result. Next, in work communication, I often use the simple past along with the past perfect. For example, yesterday, I went to the store and met my old friend. The past perfect, we had been classmates, gives background information about our history. This helps us tell stories from the past with clarity and context. Finally, let's talk about daily routines. The simple present tense is used here, like she wakes up at 6 a.m., drinks coffee, and goes to work. This tense describes habitual actions, things that happen regularly. By understanding these examples, you can see how tenses work naturally in everyday life, making your communication clearer and more accurate. Overall, these practical examples connect the tense concepts to real-life situations, helping you see how to use them confidently in your own speaking and writing. All right, let's go through slide 9 together. First, we see the question, by next year I hear for 5 years. The options are will work, will have worked, and have worked. The correct answer is B, will have worked. This is because we're talking about a future point, next year, and we want to express that the action of working will be completed before that future time. This is the essence of the future perfect tense, which highlights completion before a specific future moment. Moving on, the second question asks, when I called, he dinner. The options are ate, was eating, and has eaten. The correct choice here is B, was eating. This is the past continuous tense, used to describe an action that was in progress at a specific moment in the past, in this case when the call happened. Lastly, the third question, she to Paris 3 times. The options are went, has gone, and had gone. The correct answer is B, has gone. This is the present perfect tense, which we use for actions that happened at an unspecified time in the past, often with an emphasis on the experience or result, like her trips to Paris. So, the key takeaway here is understanding how different tenses function depending on the time frame and context. Whether we're talking about future completion, ongoing past action, or past experiences. Recognizing these patterns helps us communicate more precisely and understand others better. Practice makes perfect, everyone. The more you actively use these tenses, the more they will become second nature in your English communication. Remember, you can achieve native-like proficiency if you stay consistent. Confidence is key, and with 100% confidence, you'll see real progress. Consistent daily practice helps build fluency, so even just a few minutes each day can make a big difference. On this journey, you've committed to about 30 days of practice, covering 4 categories across 3 time periods. That's 12 tenses to master. To really cement your understanding, try writing sentences in different tenses, listen actively for tense usage in English media, and use a grammar workbook to keep your practice structured. Recording yourself speaking allows you to analyze your tense usage, and don't hesitate to ask teachers or native speakers for feedback. That's how you improve. The next step is to remember that you now have a solid foundation in these tenses. The key is continued practice. Start by focusing on the simple tenses in your daily conversations, and then gradually work your way up to more complex forms. Keep your eyes on your goal, mastery of English tenses. Keep practicing, stay consistent, and you'll see your skills grow every day.